The bedroom door swung open with a soft click that echoed like a gunshot in Sarah Mitchell's chest. She stood frozen in the doorway of her own penthouse, her surgical scrubs still damp with sweat from 8 hours in the operating room. A bouquet of anniversary roses clutched in her trembling hand. The petals were already wilting. She'd bought them 3 hours ago, planning to surprise her husband early for their 10th anniversary. But David was the one full of surprises tonight. He was in their bed, their California king with the Italian sheets Sarah's salary had purchased. And he wasn't alone. A young blonde woman Sarah recognized from the company Christmas party. Kelly, David's secretary, scrambled to pull the duvet over her naked body, her eyes wide with something that looked almost like excitement rather than shame. David didn't scramble. He didn't apologize. He didn't even have the decency to look caught. He laughed. It was a sound Sarah had heard 1,000 times over 10 years of marriage, but never like this. Never so cold. Never so cruel. He sat up against the headboard, completely naked, completely comfortable, and ran his hand through his hair with the casual arrogance of a man who believed he held all the cards. "Sarah." His voice dripped with condescension. "You're home early. Surgery get cancelled." The roses slipped from Sarah's fingers, scattering across the hardwood floor she'd had refinished last spring. Red petals like drops of blood. Her throat had gone completely dry. She'd spent the day repairing a 53-year-old woman's mitral valve, her hands steady as she worked with instruments that could kill with one wrong move. But now those same hands shook so badly, she had to clasp them behind her back. "David." It came out as barely a whisper. "What? How could you?" "Oh, don't do the wounded wife routine." David swung his legs over the side of the bed, not bothering to cover himself. "You're never here anyway. What did you expect? That I'd just sit around waiting for you to remember you had a husband?" Kelly giggled, actually giggled, from beneath the covers. "She probably doesn't even know what day it is." "Our anniversary," Sarah said, her voice hollow. "It's our anniversary." David's laugh was sharp and bitter. "Is it? Well, happy anniversary, Sarah. Maybe next year you'll actually be home to celebrate it." Sarah's vision blurred with tears, but she blinked them back furiously. She was Dr. Sarah Mitchell. She'd graduated top of her class at Johns Hopkins. She'd performed over 3,000 successful cardiac surgeries. She'd held beating hearts in her hands and coaxed them back to life. She would not cry in front of these people. "I want you out," she whispered. "Both of you. Now." That's when David stood up, walked across the bedroom completely naked, and stopped 3 feet in front of her. His eyes, the same blue eyes she'd fallen in love with 12 years ago when they were both in college, looked at her with something approaching pity mixed with contempt. "Out." "Out of where, Sarah? This is my home too. Community property, remember?" He crossed his arms over his chest. "And what are you going to do about this anyway? Divorce me?" He said the word like it was a joke. Like the idea of her having any power in this situation was laughable. "You're too busy saving other people's lives to even hire a lawyer. You work 80-hour weeks. You're never home. You don't cook, you don't clean, you barely remember to sleep." He stepped closer, and Sarah could smell Kelly's perfume on his skin. "Besides, I'll take half of everything. The penthouse, the cars, your precious retirement accounts. Half of your surgeon's salary for the rest of your life. Is that really what you want?" Kelly had gotten out of bed now, wrapped in Sarah's silk robe, the one David had given her for Christmas 2 years ago, and she leaned against the doorframe to the bathroom with a smirk on her young, unlined face. "She probably doesn't even know how to change the locks," Kelly said, examining her manicured nails. Sarah stood there, looking at her husband. This man she'd supported through 3 failed business ventures. This man whose sales manager salary barely covered his car payment, while her income paid for everything else. This man she'd loved with everything she had. And something inside her went very, very quiet. Not broken. Quiet. The kind of quiet that comes right before a surgeon makes the first incision. "You're right," Sarah said softly. Both David and Kelly looked surprised that she'd spoken. "I am too busy. Too busy for this. Too busy for you." She turned and walked out of the bedroom, leaving the roses scattered on the floor like a crime scene. Behind her, she heard David call out, "That's right, run away. Go back to your precious hospital. But you'll be back, Sarah. You always come back." She didn't respond. She walked through the living room with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, the view she'd worked 14-hour days to afford. Past the kitchen with the marble countertops she'd never had time to cook on. Past the home office where David played video games while she reviewed patient charts late into the night. She grabbed her car keys from the bowl by the door. The crystal bowl that had been a wedding gift from her mother, who died 2 years ago never knowing her son-in-law was a cheating bastard, and walked out of the penthouse. The elevator ride down 47 floors felt like falling. Sarah sat in her Mercedes in the underground parking garage for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles went white. She didn't cry. Couldn't cry. The tears were there, a massive pressure behind her eyes and in her chest, but they wouldn't fall. Maybe she'd used up all her tears during her residency, during those brutal 100-hour weeks when she'd been so exhausted she'd hallucinated. Maybe she'd cried herself dry when her mother died and David had complained about having to attend the funeral because it interfered with his golf tournament. Her phone buzzed. A text from Monica Chen, her nurse, and the closest thing Sarah had to a best friend. "Dr. Mitchell, my husband just sent me something. Can you call me? It's urgent." Sarah's hands were shaking as she dialed. Monica answered on the first ring. "Sarah." Monica's voice was tight with controlled fury. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But you need to know, Tom's been following David. For 6 months now." The words didn't make sense at first. Tom Chin was a private investigator. Why would he be following David? "I asked him to," Monica continued, speaking quickly. "Sarah, I've watched you come into that or exhausted and heartbroken for 2 years. I've heard the way David talks to you on the phone when you're scrubbed in and can't hang up. I've seen the texts he sends you during surgery. And 6 months ago, when you told me he'd started working late and going on business trips, I had a feeling. So I asked Tom to look into it." Sarah's chest felt like someone was compressing it with both hands. "How long?" 18 months. The affair with Kelly has been going on for 18 months. But Sarah, there were others before her. 3 others that Tom documented. And there's more. More. Sarah's voice cracked. "The joint account. The one you deposit your bonus checks into. David's been moving money out of it. Not huge amounts. Just enough that you wouldn't notice with your schedule. About 50,000 over the past year. Tom traced it. He bought Kelly a car. A BMW. Put it in her name." The tears came then. Silent and hot, streaming down Sarah's face as she sat alone in the parking garage of the building she owned. Because yes, the penthouse was in her name only, purchased 3 years before she married David with money from her first attending position. "Tom has everything," Monica said gently. "Photos, videos, bank statements, hotel receipts, text messages. Everything you'd need. And Sarah, I already called someone for you. Catherine Price. She's the best divorce attorney in the state. She's expecting your call." Sarah wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because I know you, Sarah. You save everyone. You fix everything. You would have tried to fix this too, tried to save a marriage that's been dead for years. But now you've seen it with your own eyes. Now you know. So now you can do what you do best." "What's that?" "Cut out the diseased tissue and save the patient." Monica's voice was fierce. "The patient is you, Sarah. Save yourself." Sarah sat in that parking garage for another 10 minutes after hanging up. Then she started the car, pulled out into the night, and drove to the one place she always felt in control. The hospital. The hospital emergency entrance glowed like a beacon. Sarah pulled into the physician's parking lot, her hands finally steady on the wheel. She'd been coming to St. Michael's Medical Center for 7 years. First as a fellow, then as an attending, now as the head of the cardiac surgery department. These walls knew her better than her own home did. She walked through the sliding doors, nodded to the night security guard who knew her by name, and took the elevator to the 7th floor. Her office was a small sanctuary, diplomas on the wall, medical journals stacked on every surface, and a leather couch she'd slept on more nights than she cared to count. Sarah locked the door behind her, pulled out her phone, and stared at the contact information Monica had sent. Catherine Price, attorney at law. The number glowed on her screen like a lifeline. 1 call. That's all it would take. Her phone buzzed. A text from David. "Where are you? You can't just walk out like that. We need to talk about this like adults. Come home." Sarah stared at the message. The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man who'd been caught naked with his secretary in their bed, now demanding she come home to talk like adults. Another text arrived. "Sarah, I'm serious. You're being dramatic. It's not what you think. Kelly and I, it's complicated. But you're never here. You can't blame me for being lonely." Her jaw clenched. He was blaming her. actually blaming her for his choice to cheat. Because she worked too hard. Because she saved lives instead of staying home to validate his ego. A third text. Fine. Be that way. But you'll be back. You always come back. And when you do, we're going to have a serious conversation about your priorities. About what it means to be a wife. Something inside Sarah crystallized into cold, hard clarity. She opened her laptop and pulled up her financial records with the methodical precision she used in surgery. The penthouse, purchased 2019, 3 years before her marriage. Title, Sarah Mitchell only. Value, $2.3 million. The Mercedes, leased under her name. Paid monthly from her account. Her retirement accounts, built from her salary alone since residency. Her investment portfolio, grown from her mother's inheritance, money David didn't even know existed. Then she opened the joint account. The one David had insisted they needed because married couples share everything. The one she deposited her quarterly bonuses into, $40,000 every 3 months. Monica was right. The withdrawals were there. $2,000 here. $3,000 there. $5,000 last month. Small enough not to trigger alerts. Sarah pulled up the credit card statements next. BMW dealership, $18,000. 6 months ago. Luxury hotel charges in cities David claimed were business trips. Jewelry store, $4,000. She'd never received any jewelry. Restaurant charges. Hotel rooms. Gifts for other women. Sarah's medical training took over. She documented everything. Screenshots. PDF downloads. Bank statements going back 2 years. She created a folder in her encrypted cloud drive and labeled it Evidence. By 2 a.m., she'd compiled a complete record of David's betrayal. Her phone had 23 texts from him now. Angry, apologetic, threatening, pleading. She ignored them all. She set her alarm for 7 a.m., lay down on her office couch, and fell into dreamless sleep. Catherine Price's law office occupied the top floor of the Morrison building, all glass and power. Sarah arrived at 8:45 wearing yesterday's scrubs, carrying her third coffee of the morning. The receptionist smiled warmly. Dr. Mitchell? Ms. Price is expecting you. Conference room 2. A small man in his 50s stood when Sarah entered. Dr. Mitchell. Tom Chin. Monica's husband. His handshake was gentle, his eyes kind. Thank you, Sarah managed. For caring enough to look. Monica loves you like a sister, Tom said simply. He gestured to folders spread across the table. I've been doing this 23 years. Your husband is one of the worst I've seen. The door opened. Catherine Price entered like a force of nature, tall, commanding, in a suit that screamed power. Dr. Mitchell. Her handshake was firm. You saved Monica's father last year. The triple bypass. He's doing well. Playing golf and driving her crazy. Catherine's smile faded. Which is why I cleared my morning when she called. Let's sit. They settled around the table. Catherine's eyes were sharp, assessing. First question. Be honest. Do you want to save this marriage? Sarah remembered David's laugh. His contempt. Kelly's perfume on his skin. His text blaming her for his affair. No, Sarah said. Her voice was steady. I want him gone. Catherine nodded. Good. I don't do reconciliation. I do divorce. And I do it extremely well. She turned to Tom. Show her. Tom opened the first folder. Photographs. David and Kelly holding hands. Entering hotels. Kissing. All dated and time-stamped. 18 months with Kelly, Tom said clinically. But she wasn't the first. More folders. More women. Amanda. Jessica. Natalie. For affairs while Sarah worked 80-hour weeks believing she had a marriage. The financials are worse, Tom continued. Total embezzled from your joint account. $73,000 for $100. Sarah's head snapped up. $73,000? BMW for Kelly. Down payment on a condo for her. Hotels, gifts, trips. Tom slid a printout across. Every transaction documented. Catherine watched Sarah carefully. How are you feeling? Numb, Sarah admitted. Stupid. How did I not see it? Because you were saving lives, Catherine said firmly. And he was careful. Calculated. She leaned forward. Do you have a prenuptial agreement? Yes. Sarah pulled it up on her phone. David insisted. Said it would protect us both. Catherine's eyes scanned the document. Her expression shifted from neutral to surprise to something like joy. Dr. Mitchell, Catherine said slowly. Did you read this before signing? Not really. We were in Vegas. He said his lawyer drafted it. We'd been drinking. I trusted him. You shouldn't have. Catherine turned her laptop. But his incompetence is your salvation. This prenup states that in divorce, each party keeps all assets in their individual names. No alimony. No retirement division. Nothing. Sarah blinked. I don't understand. Everything is in your name. The penthouse. Your accounts. Your investments. According to this prenup that your husband insisted on, he leaves with exactly what he brought in. Which was? Tom checked his notes. A 2015 Honda Civic and $12,000 in credit card debt. Silence. Then Sarah laughed. Deep and genuine. He destroyed himself. He absolutely did, Catherine confirmed. Now here's the plan. We file on adultery grounds. Submit Tom's evidence. Add fraud charges for the embezzled money. Fraud. He stole $73,000 from your joint account for affairs. That's fraud. Possibly criminal. Catherine made notes. Civil charges definitely. DA might press criminal charges. Sarah's phone buzzed. David again. Sarah, this is ridiculous. I'm your husband. We can work through this. I love you. Catherine read it and snorted. He's scared. From now on, you don't speak to him. All communication through me. Understood. Understood. Good. Catherine pulled out forms. Has he been violent? No. Verbally abusive? Sarah hesitated. He says things. That I'm a terrible wife. That I'm lucky he stays. That's emotional abuse, Tom said gently. Classic manipulation. I paid for everything, Sarah said, the realization settling cold and clear. The penthouse. The cars. His failed businesses. His stock market losses. 10 years of supporting him while he did this. Yes, Catherine said. And now you stop. We freeze the joint account today. File tomorrow. And ensure he understands exactly what he's lost. When will he be served? Catherine's smile was predatory. Where does he work? Grayson Solutions. Sales manager. Downtown. Then he's served at work tomorrow afternoon. Right in front of his colleagues. Catherine stood, extending her hand. By the time I'm done, he'll understand that laughing at you was the biggest mistake of his life. 24 hours later, Sarah was between surgeries when her phone rang. Catherine. It's done, Catherine said, satisfaction in her voice. Served in his weekly sales meeting. 15 colleagues present, plus his supervisor. His reaction? Quote, like a man standing on a trapdoor when someone cut the rope. He tried to argue. Then he opened the envelope and went white. Sarah gripped her phone tighter. Kelly was there, Catherine continued. Saw everything. The adultery evidence was attached, photos of them together. She left crying. Good. More news. Grayson Solutions has strict policies about supervisor-subordinate relationships. Kelly is his direct report. HR saw the petition. Your husband's about to have an interesting conversation. Sarah's phone buzzed with calls from David. She declined them all. His lawyer already called, Catherine said. Tried to negotiate. Said his client would work things out if we dropped proceedings. What did you tell him? To read the prenup his client insisted on, review evidence of 4 affairs and $73,000 in fraud, and call back when he had something intelligent to say. Catherine paused. He hasn't called back. The next week was the controlled demolition of David Mitchell's life. Day 1. Administrative leave from Grayson Solutions pending investigation. Day 2. Kelly filed an HR complaint claiming coercion. Whether true or self-preservation, the result was the same. David was drowning. Day 3. Tom discovered David had used Sarah's medical credentials for better insurance rates. Catherine filed additional fraud charges. Day 4. Legal experts confirmed the prenup was ironclad. David would get nothing. Day 5. Grayson Solutions fired David for ethics violations. Severance voided. On day 6, Catherine called. He wants to meet. His lawyer says he'll sign anything for a face-to-face conversation. No. I think you should. Not for him, for you. Let him see what he lost. Show him your power. Sarah considered. Your office. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. She wore her power suit. Navy blue, perfectly tailored, with heels that added 3 inches. Fresh haircut. Professional makeup. Her mother's pearls. She looked like what she was, a woman worth $800,000 a year who'd spent 10 years being told she should be grateful. David was already there when she arrived. She barely recognized him. He'd lost weight, the stress kind. His suit hung loose. Face pale, unshaven, dark circles. His hands shook when he stood. Sarah. His voice cracked. Please. Can we talk? Alone? No, Catherine said. You're here to sign papers. His lawyer gestured to chairs. Perhaps we should discuss terms. There are no terms, Catherine interrupted. The prenup is clear. We're being generous, not pursuing criminal charges, though we reserve the right. Sarah. David ignored the lawyers. Please. I messed up. But 10 years, you can't throw away 10 years. You threw it away, Sarah said quietly. When you left. When you said I was too busy to divorce you. She stepped closer. I'll tell you what I did, David. I called the best lawyer. I documented everything. And I realized the prenup you insisted on was actually going to protect me from you. So thank you. David's face crumpled. I didn't know what I was signing. Ignorance isn't a defense, Catherine said. Especially when you brought the document. His lawyer slid papers across the table. Mr. Mitchell, sign. You have no grounds to contest. Criminal charges? David's voice rose. For using our joint account? For fraud, Catherine said. $73,000 for personal expenditures. You bought your mistress a car. A condo. That's theft. It's our money. Was your wife, Sarah corrected. Was my money. You stole it. The fight left him. His shoulders sagged. Tears filled his eyes. I loved you, he whispered. No, Sarah said. You loved what I provided. The lifestyle. The ability to fail and have someone catch you. But you never loved me. She turned to Catherine. I'm done. Anything else? Just wait outside. Sarah stood by the windows overlooking the city she'd worked so hard in. Behind her, raised voices. David arguing. His lawyer insisting. Catherine's calm responses. 15 minutes later, Catherine emerged. He signed. It's done. 6 weeks later, the divorce was final. Sarah was in surgery, a double bypass, when the text came. Monica saw it first. Sarah, you're officially divorced. Sarah's hands didn't waver. Good. Let's finish saving this man's life. When the surgery was complete, Sarah stood in the hallway and let it sink in. Divorced. Officially free. And she felt nothing but relief. 3 months later, at a medical conference in San Diego, Sarah met Dr. Marcus Chen. No relation to Monica or Tom, he assured her with a warm smile. Pediatric cardiac surgeon from Stanford. I attended your presentation last year, he said. Minimally invasive mitral valve repair. Brilliant work. They talked for 20 minutes about medicine, research, surgery. Marcus asked questions that showed genuine interest, not performance. When her presentation time came, he sat front row. Asked intelligent questions. Actually listened. At the evening mixer, he found her. That was incredible. Would you want to have dinner? To discuss your research? Or just talk? Sarah looked at him. Saw someone interested in her mind, her passion, her work. I'd like that, she said. They talked for 4 hours. About medicine and life. Marcus told her about his daughter. 10 years old, loved soccer. Sarah told him about her divorce. His loss, Marcus said simply. Absolutely his loss. It wasn't a whirlwind. It was better. Slow. Careful. Built on respect and connection. They texted, called, met at conferences. Observed each other's surgeries. 6 months later, over dinner with a view of the skyline, Marcus took her hand. I'm in this, he said. All in. I'm not going anywhere. Sarah squeezed his hand. I'm in this too. 8 months after the divorce, Monica called. You need to see this. An email. LinkedIn profile. David Mitchell, Customer Service Associate, Henderson Auto Sales. He's selling used cars, Monica said. Living in a studio in Henderson. Taking the bus to work. Sarah stared at the photo. David in a cheap suit, forced smile, standing in a car lot. He looked diminished. How do you feel? Monica asked. Nothing, Sarah said honestly. He's just someone I used to know. Kelly works in Henderson too, Monica added. Waitressing at the restaurant next to the dealership. She pretends not to know him. Sarah felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just emptiness where he used to be. 1 year after the divorce, Sarah attended the annual St. Michael's Hospital Gala. Black tie event. Major donors. She wore an emerald gown, diamonds at her ears and wrist. Marcus was her date, handsome in his tuxedo. They were dancing when she saw him. David, in the catering staff uniform, serving champagne at the event in the very hospital where Sarah worked, where she was being honored tonight for her innovative cardiac research. Their eyes met across the ballroom. His tray trembled. A glass slipped, shattered on the marble floor. Sarah whispered something to Marcus. They both smiled. David stood frozen, staring at her. At the woman he'd thrown away, now radiant and successful and loved. At the life he could have had. Sarah raised her champagne glass in a small, deliberate toast. Then she turned back to Marcus and kept dancing. Behind her, she heard the crash of David's tray hitting the floor. She didn't look back. The end.